post-merger reorganization is a very important aspect. We know that the merger is financially successful if the synergies of the company is met. That is, if 2 plus 2 is becoming 5, then we say that the merger is successful. What I simply mean to say is a company which is making, say a company A is making a profit of 2 rupees and company B is making a profit of 2 rupees, and after merger, if the companies continue to make a profit of 4 rupees, then will you say that the merger has financially succeeded? The answer is no, because anyway the companies were making profit of 2 rupees individually, and after coming together, if they are making a profit of 4 rupees, there is no point in coming together. So unless and until 2 plus 2 becomes 5, there is no point in coming together, and then you won't say that the company has financially succeeded. But fine, financial success of a company is one part. The most important aspect is post-merger reorganization, because it's quite possible that there may be a change in scenario, there may be a change in working style of both the companies. It might especially become difficult for the employees of the transferor company to become conversant with the style of the transferee company, because the style of working, the manner in which the decisions are taken or were taken in the transferor company may be completely different from the style of working of the transferee company. And it is for the employees of the transferor company who will have to get adjusted with the style of working of the transferee company, because post-merger, the employees of the transferor company will become employees of the transferee company. To that extent, there are many things that are required to be taken care of. Number one, there will be a change in logo of a company. Number two, there has to be a proper communication channel which has to be established to bring confidence or give confidence to the employees of both the transferor and the transferee companies, especially with respect to the terms of employment. The employees of the transferor company should be given confidence that they will be absorbed as employees of the transferee company on the terms which will not be less favorable than they were enjoying in the transferor company. There has to be an alignment of the policies of both the companies, because it's quite possible that the policies that both the companies were following prior to merger will now have to be changed. So there has to be an alignment in the policies of the transferor and the transferee company. The people may have to be reallocated. That is, the employees of the transferor company will become the employees of the transferee company. It's quite possible that their duties and the manner in which they are going to work is likely to change. But this has to be very properly and effectively communicated to the employees of the transferor as well as the transferee company. There will be transfer of property involved. That is, the rights, the obligations, the movable, the immovable property, the contracts of the transferor company, everything will be transferred to the transferee company. This has to happen in a very smooth manner. Similarly, all the government approvals that the transferor company had in its name, now the transferee company will have to apply for the government approvals, or they will have to get the name of the transferor those government approvals. Of success. When can you say that the merger has been successful? There are certain financial parameters as discussed some time back. Yes, it is most important point that the merger succeeds in financial terms. So if the merged entity is bringing more net profits or the larger net profits, then you definitely say that the merger has been successful. Similarly, if the market capitalization of the merged entity is more, the merger will be deemed to be successful. If the dividend payout of the transferee company is more than the dividend payout prior to the merger or in the pre-merger scenario, you will definitely say that the merger has been successful. For example, if the transferor company was paying a dividend of 10% prior to merger, similarly transferee company was also paying a dividend of 10% before the merger. If in a post-merger scenario, due to increased market capitalization, due to increased turnover and net profit, if the transferee company is in a position to pay a dividend of say 15 or 20% to its shareholders, then you can definitely say that the merger has been successful, because ultimately it is the shareholders or the owners of the company who are getting more return on their investment. Similarly, the merged entity will have to compare itself with the similar sized entities on the basis of turnover, on the basis of ratios. The financial ratios will be very important for the purpose of assessing the success of the merger of both the companies. Increase in EPS, that is earnings per share, the turnover, the market price of the share will also be an important parameter, along with the larger market share and the customer base. Try to understand a few human and cultural aspects relating to merger. In a post-merger scenario, the effort should be made to retain the key employees, because the key employees of the transferor company and the transferee company, especially those employees who are working at the topmost positions like maybe the directors or the first or second level managers, must be retained, because these are the people who are important from the strategic viewpoint or from the viewpoint of the strategic planning of the company. So an effort has to be made to retain the key employees, but at the same time the company should also have a replacement policy in place, so that if some of the key employees opt to quit the company post merger, then company should be in a position to replace those employees in a swift and effective manner. The company should also keep an eye on the reaction of the unions, because it is quite possible that there may be some kind of an unrest amongst the blue-collared employees. And if the unions of both the transferor and the transferee companies are not convinced about the success of the merger or the benefits of the merger, it's the unions who will cause trouble, and the merger may become unsuccessful, because if the workforce of the merged entity is not happy, then it's definitely going to affect or have a negative impact on the turnover of the company, on the sales of the company, and ultimately if the turnover or the sales go down, the profitability of the company is going to take a hit. So a union reaction has to be kept in mind while planning the merger. Communication of policies, the new policies to the employees of both the transferor and transferee company is also vital for the success of merger. There have been examples in Welcome Group and Glaxo merger, or even in HLL and Tomco merger, where some of the employees were not happy with the merger because of the terms of service of the transferor company were much better as compared to the terms of service of the transferee companies. In case of Hindustan Lever Limited, the employees even went to the High Court saying that the merger should not be allowed, because the terms of service of Tomco employees were much better as compared to the terms of employees of the Hindustan Lever Limited. The High Court approved the merger, saying that the terms of employment of the transferor company and the employees of the transferee company were not being altered. However, the High Court also cautioned the transferee company that they need to align the terms of employment of the transferor company and the transferee company in order to ensure that the unrest no longer continues. And so the merger took place. At the same time, the High Court also gave a caution notice to the transferee company to ensure that the terms of service of both the employees of transferor and transferee company are aligned as quickly as possible to ensure that the unrest no longer continues.